Well, yo ho ho. You don't know, I don't have a cameraman. So this is not going to go smooth. I'm going to be running back and forth. Here's the legs I ended up with. Anybody comes around, I tell them I'm making propellers for the War Department. Find it's a lot steadier. All I'm worried about is somebody going in there and sticking their ass on the end of the table, sitting on it. You know, people got to sit on everything. Eh? The other way, the little pedestal there with the three legs on it, I like that. You know, this is ABC kindergarten shit right here. It's easier, but there's 4 times the material in it. But that's what you got to do. Do you ever use these? It's a sponge with a piece of sandpaper glued to it. Excellent. I'm going to send you down a couple. They're too goddamn expensive to buy in store. I can get a good price on them. Get them relatively cheap. I'll send you down some. Try them out, see what you think of them. And if you like them, let me know. Order a couple of dozen or so. You can get them in different grits. Those are medium or coarse. I'm not sure now. There's nothing written on them. So I guess you just got to know when you order them. And what I find, they're excellent to hang on to. But when you're done, or when they're wore out, you know, just about wore out, don't throw them out. And they're good for between coats. When you're lacquering or varathining or whatever, you know, for rubbing down between coats. Perfect, boy. They're a no fill, eh? So it's not like you're using a 220 or a 280 or a 320 or 400 or whatever the hell. And, you know, you make a couple strokes with it and the thing's loaded, eh? They're not like that. They don't fill, they just wear down. I've used one of them, like one wore out one. And between the 2 sealers and the top coat, I just rubbed over those tables like these here. And I've done 12, rubbed over 12 with one of them. Try that with a piece of 320. I took apart my my shoe taker offer. I just put this here, put that up against it. Clamp her in place. Put a little bit of glue on. You notice I'm using the pedestal upside down now. The octagon that I cut out for the bottom legs, that's going up underneath the table now. Now what I do, see I'll butt this up against my corner again so I know where I'm at, so I'm centered, right? Centered in the middle. 3.5-inch legs. The bottom here is already bored and countersunk. Too tight with that, because I can't, with this I can't feel it, right? I don't want to strip them. snug as a bug in a rug now. You're not too keen on this idea. Well, see, that's where your experience pays off. Now, take another prop propeller here. Lay it on there. Try to get rid of most of the dust as I can. Flip her over. Grab that base that I just made up. All around. No glue or nothing there. I don't want to restrict the movement of the board. That's looking, I got that on top of another one, eh? It's looking up under it. And when you're standing up looking down, right there. Welcome back to yet another episode of the Old Southern Workshop. You're going to see what I'm doing, but you're not going to see me too much. Because where I got the camera put up on one of these tables, and this as itself is jacked up on a 5-gallon pail, so I don't have to bend over too far, okay? And I got the camera all wrapped up in a plastic bag and a little hole cut in the front for the lens. So, I hope the sound is working okay, because the sound is inside the plastic bag too, that's the mic. I got an exhaust fan running over there. We're going to have to put up with it. And every now and then the compressor is going to kick in. So if I'm saying anything, you probably lose it. It'd be too loud, but it'll only run for about a minute or two, I guess, and shut off. I'm doing 6 tables at a time. That's all I can handle out here in the spray booth. That's the garage. Or the garage, as you say up here. Or garage in Newfie. I got 6 assembled. You watch me do one. They have all been treated now with a clear coat. The sanding sealer, I know you're going, oh my. The sanding sealer is already put on the bare wood. Not wood conditioner, sanding sealer. And because I'm using this gosh darn soft pine, you know how it stains so unevenly, normally. Well, what this sanding sealer has done now is penetrated into the wood, and it's set up a barrier so that the stain is only going to penetrate so far. And of course I'm using a transparent stain, so you can still see the grains, still see the knots and everything else, but it's easier, not perfected by any way, but it's easier to get a more even coat of stain put on by putting the sanding sealer on first to treat the wood. Now I'm going to put a coat of stain on. Then I'm going to put 2 more coats of sanding sealer on top of that stain. Give me something to rub down. You get a good, nice white powder residue from that. And I'm going to rub it over with those pads that we're talking about earlier, those wore out pads. Rub it over with the pads once over, and then 2 coats of clear on the top of it. And then bullets will bounce off this son of a gun, okay? these masks, these aren't the masks to use. They're useless as breasts on a boar pig. But they're better than nothing. My respirator one with the 2 screw-in filters, I got to get a new set of respirators for it, and I've tried a couple of places. And I vowed to heaven before I done this again, but here I am doing it, and I still haven't got them, so I'm using these Mickey Mousers here. Anyway, let's shoot some stain on here. I'm going to put it on very, very light at first, because remember, I got a slippery coat set up here now, alright? Because this has been treated already. So if I were just to stick the gun on here and turn it on, what it's going to want to do, it's going to, almost like spraying it on a piece of glass. It's going to run it off, okay? So you just got to mist the first coat on. When it's real tacky, you put your second coat on to get the shade that you want. And it's a trick, I tell you. This is the hardest thing that I've ever done yet, is to spray this goddamn stain on here. And I think by the time I get about 4,000 feet of this material used up, I'll know what I'm doing. Because every time I do one, I'm still learning something hard. I'm just going over here to a scrap piece of wood first. And get the gun adjusted, okay? Now this stain, like all the other product that these people make, has what they call a flow-out time. It takes 10 minutes to dry to touch, and about 4 to 5 minutes for it to blend in and flow in with each other. And you can almost sit there and watch it, and it's almost taking something and stirring it up in a glass of water and watch it settling, how it all blends in together. It's unbelievable. And that's the hardest thing to get used to, is that you cannot achieve what you want to get immediately, like you can with a whitening stain. You just mist it on, forget about it, and go back and look at it, and you won't believe what transaction has taken place since you last left. I got the gun changed over to horizontal spray here. Like, I don't know how good you can see this in the video, but just changing the color of that wood now, that's about it. And I'm not going much darker than this. What I like about spraying this stain on, I think, is what I'm going to like is Christ, with one color. This is a medium brown walnut. And with one color you can get 100, well, I wouldn't say 100, but you can get a lot of different shades just by the way you want to mist it on. Change the gun back to throw a vertical pattern again. This might be a good time for you to go and use the washroom, Mom. I tell you, it's extremely hard not to want to spray that on there to get the shade you want. And I've learned with restraint to pull back until you get it. Now I'm going to go back to where I started at in the beginning and work my way around again. number 13. 5 to go and I'm done. Now it gets two more coats of clear sanding sealer and 2 more coats of clear top coat put on top of it. Takes approximately 10 minutes to coat, 6 coats, and that's an hour. And I sand once in between. I sand only in between the sanding sealer and the 2 top coats. One sand only. And with that mitt, you just take it and go over it and bang. Yeah. Can't even keep track of the time. It's so marginal. Just a couple of minutes. That's all it takes. I just finished last of the 18. With steam, that is. Here's what's left over from the quart. This is a quart container, and I just did 6. It's a big quart, isn't it? I don't know. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, just what happened, the battery just went dead. And I got her on running off the AC now with the adapter on it. The whole time I was out there, I had the goddamn thing left on. It was in the pause mode, but I left everything still fired up. That noise you hear is the fan here on the stove blowing. Anyway, I dumped what I had left back in the 5-gallon bucket here. And here's what I use for getting it out. It's one of these siphons jobbies. Shove it down inside, stick the old thing in there, and fill up my canister. And I've been using this now. I got almost, I don't have almost half a gone yet, but I use it for all of them. For the sanding sealer, for the clear lacquer, for... I'm down to here. And I got 18 of them round tables done, and 30 headboards done so far. And I'm down to wherever it was there I showed you with the stain. So it goes a long way by putting it on that way. So you're using what you want. You're not soaking it up in that damn rag, and you're getting the shade you want. The thing is that you're not going to get it when you spray it. You got to wait, and bang, it's like magic. It comes there, you know, after it gets a chance to penetrate and what do they call it? Bleed out, roll out, or equalize, or whatever in the hell the proper name for it is. And this is all water based. Everything here is water based. And after that 2 hours, after that finished coat is dried, it's harder than nitrocellulose lacquer. And even though it's water based, after it's dried, it'll take lacquer thinners to cut it, to take it off or clean up your gun if it dries in the gun or something like that. Weird, eh? We're going to go over now and I'll show you how to, yeah, if you don't know. You can watch me clean out that gun with water. It's like cleaning out an old latex paintbrush, boy. Unbelievable. It's not the sink in the house, by the way, so don't worry about the mess, alright? This is like, oh, it's worth the product alone. Look at that. This alone is worth using it for. And the fact that it's non-toxic, environmentally safe, not that I give 2 shits about the environment, I shouldn't talk that way, but if I never had this product, I couldn't do this job. I would have to wait until I can get that garage door open. Because, you know, nitrocellulose lacquer, or even with varathane, or urethane, or polypolywayne, or hemethane, or Wayne somebody else, Wayne Golding, yeah. With any of those, you got to have a well-ventilated area, especially if you're spraying it. I just wouldn't have time to do it any other way except to spray. So if I never had this, olé, man, there's no way. Especially, and again, not only the ventilation, okay, so I go and get a couple of big attic fans and put holes up in the roof of the garage and put them on there, out there. That takes care of the ventilation problem. Now I gotta heat the place. And what the hell kind of heater am I going to get that's going to supply more SBTUs of heat than what our 1100 square feet a minute fan is going to exhaust? A little bit of dish soap. So I'd never be able to heat it if I could exhaust it. Just stuff is just super duper mooper, man. And so on and so forth. I just keep this here for a few. It takes me maybe 10 or 15 minutes or a little bit more even to get her cleaned out really good, you know. And the way I see it, if I don't clean it out good every time, you know, it's got to start building up. What, boy?